right, welcome back to the Ryan Rush Show. And now it's time for yet another great conversation. It's been a couple of months since we've had our next guest on the show. Want to welcome back to the show Bruce Torres, the Director of Communications for American Small Business League and the Don't Cheat Women Project. Bruce, good morning and welcome back to the show. How are you?
I'm fantastic, Brian. Great to talk to you, and Happy New Year.
Absolutely, and Happy New Year to you as well. You're in California, so I mean, we're trying to make it as best as we possibly can, because I don't know what you're still doing over there, but you know, more power to you to be able to put up with the California government there. I want to talk a little bit about a few things. One, I want to get into some of our job openings and the way that the job market is going. But first, let's talk about exactly what you do with the American Small Business League. And let's get a little bit as a reminder of the Don't Cheat Women project that you're doing. What's going on with all this?
Well, thank you. We expose and teach and inspire the nation, really, with the reminder that we are a small business nation. You know, there's 36 million small businesses. 99.9% of all businesses are small businesses. Mm-hmm. By the government's definition of up to 500 employees, 98% have less than 100 employees. We feel that should be the true definition of a small business. And what we do is expose the fact that rather than give 23% of all federal contract dollars to small businesses like the federal government is supposed to, and like they say they do, in reality, for decades, we have found that as little as 3% of those contracts go to legitimate small businesses, and over 96% of those contracts go to the 0.1% of all businesses that are big businesses. They don't create one new job. They're already big. Whereas if our Main Street, real small businesses, got that revenue for new contracts, small businesses would create 2 million extra new jobs on top of the more or less 2 million jobs America creates every year. An economic boom of epic proportions. We've been finding this and broadcasting this. Our founder, Lloyd Chapman, for almost 40 years, he organized the American Small Business League 20 years ago. Everyone should read all about this, get convinced, and harass your congressmen and senators and the president and Kelly Loeffler at the SBA. Learn all about it at ASBL.com. Any questions about that before I talk about Don't Cheat Women?
You know, Bruce, when you first gave me that statistic back in October, I was blown away by it, by the fact that there are so many small businesses that are not getting squat from the federal government. That blows my mind. I mean, it absolutely blows my mind. I shouldn't be surprised at all, because it's hard to get the financial kickbacks from small businesses like you can with that big corporation. But yeah, those numbers are just astounding. And has that changed at all, like in the past year with Donald Trump? Because I know that he's pushed so many different things, and we've seen the way that some of his people have. But has government changed at all with that?
No, we've seen no indication that it has, and that's tragic. He's continuing the tradition of squeezing the SBA, demonizing it, and setting it up for failure, setting it up to justify closing it, shrinking it, which is just insane, because the SBA, which monitors this, is responsible for making sure that all federal agencies hit the requirement of 23% of their contracts should be going to small businesses. And a combination of loopholes, bad policy, fraud, lack of oversight just lets this continue year after year. But we're hopeful. You know why? Mm-hmm. Because the truth is the truth. And when enough people get excited about it, maybe more and more, there's tons of people running for Congress and the Senate. We've got a database of about 2,000 candidates for the midterms, House and Senate. Wow. And so many that we're writing every single one of them and teaching them this and saying, run on this. Run to do this. You will unite men and women. You will unite left and right. and they're responding and saying, "Holy smokes!" like you just said. And we're not done yet. We're America with people who fantasize that we can be free and self-govern ourselves, and we should have a government that does what we tell them to do.
You're right. Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of that in small business and getting our representatives, I explained to you about how I am running for office myself for the county commissioner seat, which obviously oversees, the local community. How can local elected officials, because one of my biggest platforms is small business. I believe deeply in small business. How can somebody like me, who is running for this office, and if I was to get into this office and elected, how can somebody like I help out the small businesses when there is that fight with the federal government? Is there something that we can do in the local level to get involved on that fight, other than just calling our congressmen and senators and being like, "Hey, WTF here"?
Well, at the county level, you have a great opportunity. First of all, best wishes to you. And second of all, thank you for having the courage to throw your hat in the ring and step up to do what we are all challenged to do by the effort. And I wish you great success. If you could educate, if you go to don'tcheatwomen.com, we have all this spelled out in particularly the goals of addressing the contracts that should be going to women-owned small businesses, and spread the word and see if you can make your county understand this. Because if you Google these things, you're going to think, "Oh, Bruce is wrong." Because look, the federal government has announced year after year, we've exceeded the goal. We've given more than 23% of federal contracts to small businesses. I'm telling you to go to ASBL.com to see how and why that's nonsense and just not true. But beyond spreading the word and getting convinced about it and finding the dozens of congressional investigations that have found the same thing I'm telling you, and the reports from the SBA's own office of Inspector General that have found the same thing. This is something that I think you could ride to victory. We think that House candidates, Senate candidates could ride to victory, and because it's all upside. No new taxes, no new spending. It's an influx now. Also, it takes tremendous courage because you're fighting City Hall. You're fighting these entrenched interests, but there is nothing worthier to do or more necessary to have it to wrench our democratic republic back from the banking and corporate and moneyed interests that captured it by the 1950s. So that President Eisenhower warned us about this essentially in 1961 when he warned about the military-industrial complex. And the deep state does regime change like the colonizing evil British Empire we rebelled against to invade, conquer, control, and exploit the resources of other countries. Britain recaptured America over the last 100 years with its invasion of people in our foreign policy and deep state and intelligence apparatus. And we've been overthrowing countries to control their resources since at least 1953, Iran, 54, Guatemala, the United States by killing President Kennedy, and the list goes on and on and on. And the latest is Venezuela. So, what? Okay, I just went from A to Z, Brian, didn't I?
Yeah, I think you did. I think you covered it, both capitalized and lowercase as well. Bruce, question for you when it comes to the women-owned businesses. What is the percentage of small businesses that are owned by women?
Women own 40. Let me do this. That's one of the first talking points. Let me lay this out, and all the women out there and fair-minded men who care about reality and women, you're going to love this. Women own 40% of all businesses. They sell what the government buys. They're half the population, but the law says they're supposed to get only 5% of federal contracts. Right on the face level, that's not fair, especially because they sell what the government buys. The government buys everything. The federal government is the world's largest purchaser of goods and services. Okay? Most importantly, by not having economic equality or just fairness of opportunity. Women lag in politics. Turned around, men dominate in politics because they earn and save more. Men donate more to candidates, so they have more influence with the winners. It's easier for men to run and win office. Men hold 75% of all seats in the House, the Senate, state legislatures, every president's cabinet, almost that many governor chairs, and 90% of congressional leadership, party leadership positions. Men have different values, priorities, worldviews than women. Half the human race should not be excluded from participating in the politics of a self-governing democratic republic if we want to consider ourselves sane. Women own over 14 million businesses. They generate almost $3 trillion in revenue. They employ over 12 million people. And like I say, most importantly, they sell what the government buys. Right. But the fact that the 23% of the contracts are not going to small business. So our Don't Cheat Women project is three or four things. Raise from 5% to 15% contracts that should go to women-owned businesses. That would push from 23 to 33% the contracts that would go to real small businesses. Also, make the definition of a small business only up to 100 employees, and overhaul the SBA and expand it and make sure that it proves that small business contracts actually went to small businesses, not firms with 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, sometimes over 10,000 employees, right. Sometimes some of the biggest companies in the world.
Yeah, well, that's how they get away with being able to say that stuff. And it's always that number category when you start saying, well, small businesses 500 or under, and then you ignore the businesses that are 100 or under and give all the attention to those that are closer to 500. Yep. That way you can still say, look, we're supporting small businesses. Look at how great we are. I mean, that's typical government to twist and turn those numbers and change things. What recommendations would you have for women-owned businesses to help get more involved in being able to get more of those government contracts so that they can get more? I mean, other than just giving our congressional and Senate people a hard time, what else can women do?
Well, that's truly still the most effective thing. And at don'tcheatwomen.com, there's a couple pages. One of them is what you can do, which has easy links and a letter to swipe that explains all this that one could send to the White House, your senator, your congressperson, and also to the SBA. Mm-hmm. Okay, while you're at it, send it to women's groups and send it to your local media. There's another page at don'tcheatwomen.com called Resources, where we've collected what we think are the best, the first of the links, ways, and means where people can learn what federal contracts are available and how to apply for them. Warning, that whole situation needs to be streamlined and improved because you click into these things, you kind of get lost in a maze. I'm not going to say it's hopeless because people do apply and they do win contracts, but it's pitifully low compared to the number of small businesses, women or men own, that should know that they could apply for these contracts, and it should be much more streamlined if we had a legitimate representation and government working for us. If the agency, the SBA, wanted to oversee this in a legitimate way and not fool us about it, they would streamline this. It would be front and center, the contracting provision, because 32 million of our 36 million small businesses, Brian, are in industries and professions that the federal government buys from. And yet less than 100,000 small businesses get contracts every single year out of 32 million that serve the industries, and sell what the government buys. So it's just part of the corporate capture, the dominance of the 0.01% of the population, the richest of the rich, who own something like 30, 40, 50% of the wealth of this country. Mm-hmm. Every year it's trending more and more in that direction. Every year more and more Americans are struggling month to month, paycheck to paychecks. Living on credit cards, living on debt, and on the verge of, catastrophe. Now, before people just, start drinking and say it's hopeless because I've done such a great job of painting how horrible the situation is.
Yeah. Let's get some good news.
Here's the solution to that. Yeah, about that and anything else. It's to have the courage to talk about it and know what you want. You want good things. You want honest representation. You want honest solutions. And if you have the courage to talk about it, you'll find other people who want it as well. And you'll realize you're not alone. And that, I think, is like 99% of happiness as a human.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, we need to do a lot more for small business, and thankfully, the American Small Business League is there to help us out, and of course, with the Don't Cheat Women project, and we got to get up there. We got to fight. I mean, this is one of these things that is part of the survival is getting up there and fighting, and stop letting that 0.1% control so much. Let's go out there and get our share. And Bruce, let's talk quickly about employment numbers and job numbers, because we saw a revision from the numbers that recently came out. How is our job numbers looking on the private employment side? Because government side, not so good, which is okay. But we want to talk about the private side.
Well, yeah, I read, Reuters this week. I think in a half an hour or less, the monthly jobs report comes out. But they already seem to know that job growth is sluggish and unemployment claims are up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone can find that by searching that today, because this is the day when the monthly jobs report come out. They allude to concerns, not concerns. Look how I'm spinning things. They allude to, we think it's might be the beginning of the long anticipated AI driven boom. Productivity's up, and other good things are happening because of AI. Well, you gotta follow or listen to someone like Catherine Austin Fitts at Solari.com, Solari, to see her warnings about the digital enslavement grid being erected, driven by AI, how much of it is just another balloon so that the casino gamblers of the markets can accrue wealth instantly right now on the hype of AI, but the risks of it are enormous. But in this Reuters article, Brian, it blatantly says, it's a jobless expansion. It's a jobless growth. Long term, it just feeds this trend of, as previously described, the wealth creation being siphoned up into the hands of the elite of the elite. Owners of the banks and the corporations that control our lives and want to control them even more with technology like AI.
Yeah, and they're doing a heck of a job, and that does reinforce the fact that this is why we need to work so hard on small businesses. Bruce and Torres, again, what is the websites that people can go to learn more about the Don't Cheat Women Project and the American Small Business League?
Thank you. Don'tCheatWomen.com, no apostrophe, and ASBL.com for what we've been doing 20 years, what Lloyd Chapman, our founder, has been doing for 40 years. And hopefully there's enough encouragement on there, like I tried to remember to talk about. We've got to try, for the children, the grandchildren, and the generations unborn.
Yeah, without a doubt. Bruce Torres, Director of Communications for the American Small Business League and the Don't Cheat Women Project. Again, thanks for coming on and giving us some of this, and hopefully we can continue to help and fight and push for more women-owned businesses to get some of these government contracts and to really develop the American small business. That is the heartbeat, the artery. It is the blood. It is everything about our economy. One of the big things that I'm pushing on with my campaign for county commission, and hopefully we can continue to spread this message across the country. Bruce, thank you again for coming on. I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and we'll be looking forward to that the jobs report coming out shortly this morning.
Thank you. Best wishes at the county.
Thank you, bud. Do appreciate it. We'll talk to you again soon. Bruce Torres, from the Director of the Communications for the American Small Business League and the Don't Cheat Women Project. Go check them out at ASBL.com or Don't Cheat Women without the apostrophe.com. Hang on. We will be right back.